The vibrant hues of fall painted Maplewood City in shades of amber and crimson, leaves swirling in the crisp morning breeze like confetti tossed in a celebratory dance. Sophia Jenkins gripped the steering wheel of her aging Honda, its paint chipped and faded, reflecting her own frayed nerves. The car rattled slightly as she turned onto Maplewood Boulevard, the heart of the city, where the rhythm of life thumped steadily around her. She could hear the chatter of pedestrians, the honk of horns, and the background hum of a bustling cafe where the smell of fresh coffee wafted through open doors. "Just breathe," she muttered to herself, glancing at the clock on the dashboard. It was 8:45 a.m., and her interview was set for 9. The mere thought of it tightened the knot in her stomach. This wasn't just another job. It was her chance to escape the financial struggles that had become her constant shadow. She could almost see the words, "You're hired," dancing in front of her as she envisioned a brighter future. As she approached a stoplight, the fluorescent green turned to amber, and she pressed the accelerator. Just a few blocks until she reached the office. She could do this. But then, out of nowhere, red and blue lights flashed in her rearview mirror. Her heart raced, and a jolt of panic shot through her. "Oh no, what did I do?" she murmured, pulling over to the side of the road, her palms sweating against the wheel. Officer Clark stepped out of his patrol car, a tall figure with a sturdy build, a warm smile that contrasted sharply with the serious expression he wore. He approached her vehicle, his polished badge glinting under the sun. "Good morning, ma'am." His voice was deep but gentle, cutting through the fog of her anxiety. "Do you know why I pulled you over?" Sophia swallowed hard, her throat dry. No, officer, I'm not sure. Your brake lights are out," he said, nodding toward the rear of her car. "I noticed when you stopped back there. Do you have any idea how long that's been the case?" I didn't realize. I'm sorry," she stammered, her mind racing. "I have a job interview, and I was just trying to get there on time. First, let's make sure you're safe," he said, his tone shifting slightly, becoming more earnest. "Can you step out for a moment?" "Step out?" Panic surged again. "Am I in trouble?" "Not at all," he replied, his eyes softening. "I just want to check your lights and make sure you're okay for the drive." With a deep breath, she unbuckled her seatbelt and stepped out, the cool air hitting her face like a splash of water. As she walked around to the back of her car, Officer Clark shone his flashlight toward the brake lights. "Yeah, definitely out. You know, this could lead to a pretty hefty ticket if you get pulled over again." "I can't afford a ticket," she blurted out, the weight of her financial situation crashing down. "Or any more problems today. I just need to get this job." "Job interview?" He raised an eyebrow, his expression shifting to one of concern. "What's the position?" "It's for a marketing assistant at Maplewood Media," she said, glancing at the time on her phone. "And I'm already late." "Marketing, huh?" He chuckled softly. "Sounds exciting. You've got to stand out in a pile of resumes. What's your angle?" She blinked, taken aback by his unexpected interest. I plan to emphasize my creativity, my ability to adapt. I have ideas, but I know it's a competitive field." His smile widened. "That's the spirit. You've got this." Then he paused, glancing back at her car. "How about this? I can give you a warning instead of a ticket, but you need to get those lights fixed right away." "Really?" Hope flickered in her chest. "You do that for me?" "Sure," he replied, scribbling on a notepad. "Just promise me you'll take care of it. You don't want to end up with a broken taillight when you're on your way to impress someone." "Thank you. I will. I promise," she exclaimed, the anxiety that had gripped her moments ago loosening its hold. "You're welcome. And hey," he continued, looking a bit more serious, "always check your car before big days like this. It helps avoid unnecessary stress." "Trust me, I'll add it to my to-do list," she said with a nervous laugh, her heart still racing, but now with a spark of gratitude instead of dread. As he handed her the warning, she felt a strange warmth spreading through her, something she hadn't expected from a routine traffic stop. "Thank you again, Officer Clark. You really saved my day." "Just doing my job." He tipped his hat slightly, his demeanor shifting back to professional as he walked toward his car. "And good luck with the interview. You'll do great." Sophia climbed back into her Honda, her thoughts racing. The officer had treated her as a person, not just another driver on the road. It was a small act of kindness in a world that often felt overwhelming. She glanced at her reflection in the rearview mirror, straightening her hair as her heart pounded with renewed determination. "Okay, Sophia," she whispered to herself. "Time to shine." With a deep breath, she turned the key in the ignition, the engine sputtering to life. The road ahead was still busy, but now it felt less daunting. She pulled back onto the boulevard, glancing at the vibrant trees lining the street, feeling the weight of her worries begin to lift. As she weaved through traffic, thoughts of her interview filled her mind. What if they asked about her weaknesses? Would they notice the slight hesitation in her voice? She needed to be confident, to show them she was more than just a candidate. She was a fighter ready to take on the world. "Just breathe," she repeated, squeezing the wheel tightly as she approached the office building. The large glass structure loomed ahead, reflecting the bright sky and her own anxious reflection. She parked her car, her heart racing. But as she stepped out, she noticed something strange. A dark cloud gathering in the distance, a storm brewing on the horizon. Both literally and metaphorically, the world felt heavy with anticipation, and Sophia's intuition told her this day was far from over. With a determined stride, she made her way toward the entrance, unaware that her encounter with Officer Clark would be just the beginning of a day that would test her resolve in ways she never expected. If you found this interesting, be sure to subscribe to the channel and listen to the full story. And if you've seen or experienced something similar, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. All the best to you. "Just a few minutes," she muttered under her breath, peering through the windshield at the officer kneeling beside her car. Officer Clark, with his neatly pressed uniform and an earnest expression, was focused intently on the trunk. She could see his brow furrowed in concentration, his fingers deftly maneuvering through the wires. "Hold on, just a second," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos of the passing cars and the distant sounds of a city bustling with life. Sophia watched as he pulled apart a tangled mess of wires, eyes narrowed against the sun. "These connections look corroded. I think I can fix this." "How can you tell?" she asked, her voice tinged with a mix of hope and disbelief. She leaned against the side of the car, arms crossed tightly as if to hold herself together. "Experience," he replied, glancing up with a half smile. "I've seen my fair share of busted brake lights." He continued to work, his hands moving with a practiced rhythm, even though he had little formal training. Each tug, each twist of the wire felt like a small battle against fate. "And you're really doing this for me?" Sophia's heart raced. "I mean, you don't have to." "No, I want to," he said, his tone firm as he focused back on the task. "You've got somewhere important to be. The least I can do is make sure you get there safely." She shifted uncomfortably, the weight of her situation pressing down on her. "I just can't afford any more setbacks. If I miss this interview..." Her voice trailed off, fear creeping in. "Hey, don't think like that," he said, his hand still working. "Let's focus on what we can fix right now." He gave her a reassuring nod, though she could see the concern etched in the lines of his face. Sophia glanced at the passing cars, their drivers oblivious to her plight. "You really think you can fix it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I can try," he replied, determination lacing his words. "And if I can't, I'll make sure you get a ride to your interview. No one should miss an opportunity because of a simple car problem." As he worked, the tension between them began to ease. Sophia found herself leaning against the car, watching him with a mix of admiration and gratitude. "You're a good officer," she said, breaking the silence. "Just doing my job," he replied, though his tone suggested he felt it was more than that. "But it's also about being human. We all have our struggles, right?" "Yeah," she said, her heart fluttering. "I guess I've been so caught up in my own issues, I didn't think about others. Sometimes it helps to step back and see the bigger picture," he replied, finally pulling a wire free. "There we go. Now, let's see if this does the trick." He connected the wires and stepped back, wiping his brow with the back of his hand. Sophia held her breath as he climbed into the driver's seat and turned the ignition. The engine roared to life, and she felt a rush of hope. "Now let's check those lights," he said, flipping on the hazards. The brake lights flickered to life, one red beacon shining bright, the other still dim. "Almost there," he exclaimed, excitement in his voice. "Just a little more." With a few more adjustments, the lights glowed steady and bright. Officer Clark beamed, a sense of pride radiating from him. "There, all fixed, you're good to go." "Oh my God, thank you," Sophia gasped, relief flooding her. "I can't believe you did that. You really saved me." "Just another day on the job," he shrugged, but the smile he wore said differently. "Remember to check your car more often. It'll save you the headache." As she laughed, the tension of the day began to dissipate. "I will, I promise. And I really appreciate this. I was worried that I'd miss my chance." He straightened up, brushing off his uniform. "You've got this. Just go in there and show them what you're made of." Sophia took a deep breath, the knot of anxiety loosening. You really think so? I know so. You've shown incredible resilience, dealing with everything thrown your way. His sincerity struck a chord deep within her. Just remember, it's not just about this interview. It's about finding a path that works for you. Thanks for the pep talk, officer, she chuckled, feeling lighter. I don't know what I would have done without you. Just doing my part, he said, his tone becoming serious again. But don't forget, if you ever need anything else, don't hesitate to reach out. Just because I'm an officer doesn't mean I'm not here to help. Sophia nodded, touched by his kindness. I won't forget that, I promise. They exchanged numbers, a small gesture that felt monumental in that moment. As she slid into the driver's seat, the weight of her worries began to lift. I'll let you know how it goes, she said, her heart racing with renewed energy. Good luck, he called as she backed out, a wave of his hand sending her off. The sun glinted off her rearview mirror, and for the first time that day, she felt a spark of hope igniting within her. But as she pulled onto the road, a thought struck her. The bank, the very institution she was about to face in her interview, had been complicit in her financial struggles. She couldn't shake the feeling of injustice, the nagging thought that while Officer Clark had gone above and beyond, the system still felt stacked against her. With newfound determination, she drove, each mile bringing her closer to the interview, and closer to a confrontation she hadn't anticipated. The bank loomed ahead, a towering structure of glass and steel, and as she parked, the weight of the moment settled heavily on her shoulders. She glanced at herself in the mirror, smoothing down her blouse, and took a deep breath. You can do this, she whispered to her reflection. Inside, the atmosphere buzzed with an unsettling mix of energy and anxiety. As she approached the reception desk, her heart raced. The receptionist barely glanced up, her expression bored as she looked over Sophia's application. Name? The receptionist droned. Sophia Jenkins, she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. Right, they're expecting you. The receptionist waved her off, returning to her screen. Sophia's pulse quickened as she moved toward the interview room. She could hear laughter and chatter beyond the door, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside her. But she was ready to confront it, ready to demand what was right. Come in, a voice called from inside, and she pushed the door open. The panel of interviewers looked up, their smiles fading as they took in her determined expression. Miss Jenkins, thank you for coming, one said, gesturing for her to take a seat. If you found this interesting, be sure to subscribe to the channel and listen to the full story. And if you've seen or experienced something similar, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. All the best to you. Thank you for having me, she replied, taking a deep breath. As the questions began, she felt the tension rise and fall like waves. But it was when they asked about her experiences with the bank that she seized the moment. I want to address something directly, she said, her voice steady as steel. I've had my share of challenges, and I believe the bank's policies have contributed to those difficulties. I want to know how you plan to change that. The room fell silent, surprise etched on the faces of the interviewers. They exchanged glances, and Sophia's heart raced, but she held her ground. I'm not here to just fill a position. I'm here to advocate for change. The lead interviewer cleared his throat, visibly taken aback. That's not typical interview behavior, Miss Jenkins. Maybe it should be, she replied, her voice unwavering. I'm not just looking for a job. I'm looking for a way to make a difference. The tension in the room shifted, and for the first time, she saw glimmers of respect in their eyes. That's a bold stance, one of them said slowly. Tell us more about what you envision. As she spoke, she felt her confidence grow, the words spilling out in a rush of passion. She wasn't just fighting for herself, she was fighting for everyone who had ever felt powerless in the face of bureaucracy. Outside, Officer Clark stood by his patrol car, a watchful guardian in the backdrop of her battle. He didn't know the details, but he felt the weight of the moment, the significance of what was unfolding. Sophia was not just a victim, she was a warrior, and as the dialogue continued, she could almost hear the echo of Officer Clark's words in her mind. Find a path that works for you. Thank you for your time, she concluded, a firm resolve in her voice. The interviewers looked at one another, their expressions unreadable, but she felt a shift in the air, a stir of possibility. As she walked out of the room, her heart raced, not just from the adrenaline of the confrontation, but from the realization that she had taken control of her narrative. She had stood up for herself and others, and whatever the outcome, she knew she had made an impact. Hey, Officer Clark called out as she approached, a smile spreading across his face. How did it go? I think I may have just changed the conversation, she said, her voice brimming with pride. "See? You're a force to be reckoned with," he said, admiration shining in his eyes. "I knew you had it in you." "Thanks to you," she replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I wouldn't have had the courage without your support." They stood there for a moment, two allies in a world that often felt divided. The sun shone brightly above them, illuminating the path ahead, one filled with challenges, yes, but also with hope and possibility. "Let's celebrate," Officer Clark suggested, his eyes sparkling. "How about coffee? You can tell me all about that bold move of yours." Sophia couldn't help but laugh, the weight of the day lifting as she nodded. "Coffee sounds perfect." As they walked toward the nearby cafe, the wind rustled the leaves, carrying with it the promise of change, both in their lives and in the world around them. With Officer Clark by her side, Sophia felt ready to face whatever came next, knowing that true dedication and compassion could indeed leave a lasting impact on the world. If you found this interesting, be sure to subscribe to the channel and listen to the full story. And if you've seen or experienced something similar, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. All the best to you. As the morning sun spilled its golden rays over the city, Sophia Jenkins sat on her couch, staring at her phone with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The digital world had erupted in response to her post about Officer Clark's selflessness. Notifications pinged incessantly, each sound a reminder of how her simple story had ignited something much larger than herself. She scrolled through the comments, her heart swelling with warmth. "This is what we need more of in the world," one user wrote. "Thank you for sharing this, Sophia. It gives me hope," another added. Each message was like a drop in a vast ocean, creating ripples that spread far beyond her small town. Yet she couldn't shake the feeling of anxiety that clung to her. What if Officer Clark was uncomfortable with all this attention? He had always been so humble, never seeking recognition for his bravery. A knock on the door startled her from her thoughts. It was her friend Mia, her eyes wide with excitement. "You won't believe what just happened." Sophia opened the door wider, letting Mia in. "What? More shares? More likes?" "Not just that," Mia said, bouncing on her heels. "They want to interview him. The news station. They said your story is going national." A rush of panic coursed through Sophia. What if he doesn't want that? "It's too much." Mia frowned, placing a supportive hand on Sophia's shoulder. "But think about it. This is a chance for Officer Clark to show everyone that kindness matters. You opened the door for change, Soph." Sophia took a deep breath, still unsure. "I just wanted to honor him, not put him in the spotlight." "He's not like that." Mia grinned. "Exactly, he's not like that. But maybe he needs to realize how much people appreciate him. His actions can inspire others to be kind too." The thought lingered in Sophia's mind as she paced the living room. Kindness rippling outwards. She had witnessed how a single act could spark a movement, and she wanted Officer Clark to see it. "Okay," she finally relented, "but I'll talk to him first." "Great, let's go find him." Mia clapped her hands together, her enthusiasm infectious. They drove to the police station, adrenaline coursing through Sophia's veins. As they stepped inside, the familiar scent of coffee and polished wood filled the air. Officer Clark sat at his desk, the soft hum of the fluorescent lights surrounding him like a cocoon of familiarity. "Sophia, Mia, what brings you here?" he greeted, his voice warm and inviting. Sophia swallowed hard, her heart racing. Officer Clark, can we talk?" "Sure, everything okay?" He looked between them, brow furrowed with concern. Mia nudged Sophia forward. "It's about your story, the one Sophia shared online." Officer Clark's expression shifted, a flicker of discomfort crossing his face. "Oh, that. I didn't mean for it to get so much attention." "I know," Sophia rushed to assure him. "But it has. People are inspired by your kindness, Clark. They want to recognize you for what you did." He scratched the back of his head, glancing down at his desk. "I just did what anyone would have done." "But not everyone does," Mia chimed in. "You showed bravery and compassion. People are sharing their own stories of kindness because of you. You have a chance to inspire others." His eyes widened slightly, taking in their words. "I appreciate that, but I'm really not comfortable being in the spotlight." Sophia stepped closer, her voice steady. "But what if it isn't just about you? What if your story can encourage others to act selflessly? To be better?" Clark's gaze softened as he considered her words. "I never thought about it that way." Mia leaned in, her excitement palpable. "Just think about it. You could be the face of a movement, a reminder to everyone that kindness matters. People need that right now." Silence filled the room, heavy with the weight of decisions not yet made. Finally, Clark nodded slowly, a hint of determination creeping into his expression. "All right, I'll do it, but only if it's focused on spreading the message, not on me." Sophia beamed. "That's all we want, just your story. The world needs more of this kind of goodness." The following days were a whirlwind of preparation. They organized interviews and wrote messages that encapsulated Clark's experiences, emphasizing the power of kindness. As Officer Clark spoke to cameras, his humility shone through. "I'm just one person," he said, his voice steady yet earnest. "But if my actions can inspire even one person to help someone in need, then it's worth it." Sophia watched, pride swelling in her chest. This was it, the ripple effect in action. The video spread across social media, garnering millions of views. People began sharing their own stories of kindness, creating a tapestry of humanity stitched together by shared experiences. One evening, as Sophia sat scrolling through the flood of stories, her phone rang. It was Clark. "Hey, can we talk?" "Of course. What's up?" she asked, excitement bubbling in her voice. "Have you seen the latest hashtag?" "No, what is it?" "Kindness is contagious. It's trending everywhere. People are posting videos of them doing random acts of kindness. It's amazing." Her heart raced as she thought about the impact they had initiated. "That's incredible. I can't believe it's gone this far." "Thank you, Sophia. I don't know how I can ever repay you for this." "You don't have to repay me. Just keep being you. That's enough," she replied, her voice sincere. Weeks turned into months, and the movement only grew stronger. Schools began implementing kindness programs, communities organized events, and people began smiling at each other again. One day, as Sophia walked through a park, she noticed a group of children painting a mural that read, "Kindness is contagious." Their laughter filled the air, a sound she had missed during the darker times. "Look at that," she exclaimed, pointing to the mural as she approached the group. A little girl, paint-smeared and grinning, looked up. "We're making it for Officer Clark." Sophia's heart swelled. He would love that. As she continued to watch the children paint, she reflected on how far they had come. It all started with a simple act of kindness, a moment that sparked a flame. Later that evening, Sophia received a message from Clark. "You're invited to the community event next week. They're honoring all the acts of kindness that have come from your story." She smiled, feeling warmth wash over her. "I'll be there." The day of the event arrived, filled with laughter, stories, and celebrations. Sophia stood beside Officer Clark, whose modesty still shone even among the accolades. "I can't believe this is happening," he said, shaking his head in disbelief. "You deserve every bit of this," she insisted. "Your actions inspired so many people. Just look around." As they watched the crowd, a woman approached them, tears in her eyes. "I wanted to thank you both. Because of your story, I helped a stranger in need last week. It felt good to give back." Clark smiled, a genuine light in his eyes. "That's what it's all about." As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the gathering, Sophia felt a profound sense of completion. The story she had shared transformed more than just her life. It created a movement, a reminder that kindness, no matter how small, could create ripples that touched countless lives. "Here's to kindness." She raised her glass, laughter bubbling around her. "May it continue to spread." The crowd echoed her sentiment, voices laughing and cheering in agreement. And as the night wore on, Sophia knew that the legacy of Officer Clark's selflessness would live on, not just in the stories shared, but in the hearts of everyone inspired to act with compassion. Sophia turned, her palms slick against the cool porcelain sink. "I think so. But what if he doesn't want to do this? What if it's too much?" Mia stepped inside, leaning against the doorframe. "Soph, it's not just about him anymore. It's about everyone. People need to hear what he has to say." The memory of Officer Clark's humble demeanor flooded back, the way he'd brushed off accolades as though they were mere whispers in the wind. "I know, but he deserves his privacy. Sometimes you have to step into the light to truly see the impact you have." Mia's voice was firm, her conviction unshakable. The two had been through so much together, and she had always been the voice of reason, pushing Sophia to embrace the moments that mattered. With a deep breath, Sophia nodded, her resolve hardening. "Okay, let's go." They drove through the streets, the evening air thick with anticipation. As they approached the police station, the familiar facade loomed ahead, lights flickering against the encroaching darkness. Sophia's heart raced. This wasn't just a visit, it was a pivotal moment for Officer Clark, for the community, and for the movements of kindness that had sprouted like wildflowers in the wake of his actions. Inside, The scent of coffee mingled with the faint remnants of donut glaze. Officer Clark sat at his desk, engrossed in paperwork, his brow furrowed, the weight of the world resting on his shoulders. "Hey, you two." He looked up, his face lighting with a smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "What brings you here?" Mia nudged Sophia forward, and she felt the warmth of Clark's gaze envelop her. Officer Clark, we need to talk." "Sure. Everything all right?" His concern was palpable, a testament to his character. Sophia swallowed hard. "It's about the interview, the one we discussed. It's happening tomorrow." Clark's expression shifted, discomfort flickered across his face. "Oh, I didn't think it was still on the table." "It is," Mia interjected, her enthusiasm bubbling over. "This is a chance for you to share your story, to inspire others." "I just did what anyone would have done," he replied, scratching the back of his head as if trying to erase the tension. "But not everyone does, Clark," Sophia said softly. "Your actions resonated with so many. You've sparked a movement." He hesitated, the weight of their words settling heavily in the air. "But I'm really not comfortable being in the spotlight. Think of it this way," Mia said, her eyes bright with conviction. "You can be a beacon for kindness. You can show people that one act can lead to many." Clark looked between them, his expression softening as he considered their plea. "I appreciate that, but I don't want to be the focus. It's about the message, not me." "Agreed. It's about the ripple effect of kindness," Sophia emphasized, stepping closer. "You can change lives without seeking recognition." "I never thought about it that way," Clark murmured, a hint of determination creeping into his expression. "Just think about it," Mia added, her excitement infectious. "You could be part of something bigger, something beautiful." With a deep breath, Clark nodded slowly. "All right, I'll do it. But we focus on spreading the message." Sophia's heart soared. "That's all we want. The world needs more goodness." The next day, they found themselves in a bustling studio, cameras rolling as Clark sat in front of the bright lights, his hands resting nervously on his knees. Sophia stood off to the side, her heart pounding with pride. "I'm just one person," Clark spoke into the camera, his voice steady yet earnest. "But if my actions can inspire even one person to help someone in need, then it's worth it." Sophia watched, a rush of warmth filling her chest. This was it, the ripple effect in action. As the interview aired, millions tuned in, sharing their own stories of kindness, creating a tapestry of humanity stitched together by shared experiences. Months passed, and the movement grew, weaving through the fabric of the community. People began organizing events, charity drives, and initiatives aimed at fostering kindness. Sophia and Mia became integral to this movement, their lives forever intertwined with Clark's story. One sunny afternoon, they gathered in the local park, the air filled with laughter and the sweet scent of blooming flowers. Families picnicked on the grass, children chased each other with squeals of joy, and the atmosphere buzzed with positivity. "Soph, look at this," Mia exclaimed, pulling Sophia toward a group of people painting a mural dedicated to kindness. The colors splashed vibrantly against the wall, each stroke a testament to the message they championed. "This is incredible," Sophia breathed, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thanks to you and Clark," Mia grinned, her eyes sparkling. "You started all of this." As they continued to explore, they spotted Officer Clark standing apart from the crowd, laughing with a group of children. His face beamed with genuine joy, a stark contrast to the humble man who had once shied away from the spotlight. "Look at him," Sophia said, a smile tugging at her lips. "He's thriving." Mia nodded, her gaze fixed on Clark. "He's found his purpose, and it's beautiful." As they approached, a little girl tugged at Clark's pant leg, her face scrunched in concentration. "Can you help me paint a rainbow?" Clark knelt down, his eyes twinkling as he took the brush from her small hands. "Of course. Let's make the biggest rainbow this park has ever seen." Laughter erupted from the children as they splashed colors across the canvas, their joy infectious. Sophia felt a warmth radiate from the scene, capturing the essence of what they had all built together. "Hey, you two," Clark called, waving them over. "Come help us finish this masterpiece." Mia nudged Sophia, her grin wide. "Come on, let's join in." They crossed the grass, the sun shining down as they picked up brushes. As they painted, laughter filled the air, the colors blending together as they created a vibrant reminder of the kindness that had sparked this movement. "Remember when we first talked about this?" Sophia said, glancing at Mia, who was carefully blending hues of blue and green. Mia chuckled, her eyes twinkling. I remember you being all nervous and worried about Clark's feelings. Yeah, I was a mess, Sophia admitted, dipping her brush into the paint. But look at what we've created. It's amazing. And it's just the beginning, Mia replied, her voice filled with optimism. Imagine where this will go. As they continued to paint, the sun began to set, casting a warm golden hue over the park. People gathered, admiring the mural that represented not just their town, but a movement that had grown beyond expectations. Clark stood back, surveying their work with pride. You all did an incredible job, he said, his voice full of warmth. This mural will remind everyone that kindness is powerful. Just like you reminded us, Sophia added, her heart swelling with gratitude. A moment of silence enveloped them, the weight of their journey settling in. Clark's humility shone through as he glanced at the mural, then back at them. I couldn't have done any of this without you both. Neither could we, Sophia replied, her voice steady. You're the reason this all started. As twilight descended, the park glowed under strings of fairy lights, laughter and chatter filling the air. They stepped back to admire their creation, a vibrant tapestry of colors symbolizing the ripple effect of kindness that had begun with one officer's selfless act. In that moment, Sophia realized that the true beauty of their journey wasn't just in the recognition or the movement they had sparked. It was in the connections they had forged, the lives they had touched, and the realization that kindness, in its simplest form, had the power to change the world. As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, she took a deep breath, her heart full. This was not just an ending. It was an invitation to continue spreading kindness, to embrace the beautiful mess of humanity, and to inspire others to do the same. Let's keep this going, Mia said, her voice steady and resolute. Let's make sure kindness never fades. Sophia nodded, her spirit ignited. Together, we can create waves. They stood side by side, gazing at the mural, the laughter of children echoing around them. In that moment, they knew that no act of kindness was ever too small, and the ripples they created would continue to spread far beyond what they could imagine. If you found this interesting, be sure to subscribe to the channel and listen to the full story. And if you've seen or experienced